Falling apart and I wonder if you know. Falling apart and I never got the chance to show you, and it seems.
What you're listening to is an artist named Youth. The song's called Blame. It's a really rad tune.
Seems to me you've already built.
One of my favorite parts right here.
She says I blame it all on you. I blame it all on you. She says I blame it all on you.
Big fan of Youth. And speaking of youth, I had a birthday last Monday. Not a very big one. But I guess the older you get, birthdays seem less important but more important at the same time. Probably for different reasons. Not as important to celebrate, but maybe more important just to be aware of how old you're getting. But it got me to thinking, most of my life, I was like super healthy. A little dramatic effect there for health. But I was a very healthy dude. And so I didn't get sick from like the time I was like, I don't even know, like 7 to like by the time I was like 27. So I didn't have a doctor. So I had to go to the doctor. So the only place I could go was my pediatrician. So I walked into the pediatrician's office, a grown man pushing 30. And it was pretty funny because I didn't know what to do, and I had to go sit in the sick room with all the sick kids because that's how it works at the pediatrician. So there I sat, an adult man at the pediatrician's office, and it was time to get a real doctor. So I got a real doctor. And then I went through a phase, I was like a hypochondriac. I always thought I was sick all the time. And I'll never forget, he once told me, Andy, not everything is terminal, because I was always convinced I was dying all the time. And he was like, Andy, not everything is terminal. Well, literally a few years later, that doctor passed away, so apparently some things are terminal. But sometimes as you start to get older, you start to feel like maybe, just maybe, you can't relate to new music and new things in life because you're getting older. That is not the case, though. I feel like one of the good things about this job is I get to discover brand new music all the time, and I get to feel young again every single time I get to do it. I get to relive my youth, if you will. And I like to point out, as a drummer in my former life, this is my favorite part of the song. That was a little pre-dramatic. This part coming up here, some of the coolest drums in Nashville, Tennessee ever recorded. Let's do this. Been many a days, many a sessions trying to sound as cool as that drum beat right there. Youth Blame. It's just so good. It's so good. But the reason I bring up feeling older and not always being impressed by new music and feeling like maybe new music just isn't for you is because every once in a while, an album or a song comes across my desk. Who am I kidding? I don't have a desk. It just comes my way and it totally floors me and it renews my faith in rock and roll. And that happened with this next band right here. It's live on the phone. Nate and Joel, Dead Sea Empire. It's pretty cool. I got to be honest, guys. The way I heard about y'all, I got an email. I believe it was from you, Nate. And
yeah.
And it's always so exciting when a new band comes along that I just immediately like their stuff. Not to say it doesn't happen often, because it does happen quite a bit. But you guys, you sent me the email, Nate, and I checked out your band and immediately started digging y'all's stuff. I think the main song I liked was the one Pulp, which we're going to play here in a little bit. But you guys were great, man. It's an interesting time to be in a band. I'm sure as you can attest to that. It's the idea that it's easier than ever to get your music into like somebody's hands, like via email, Instagram, all those things. But it seems like it's harder than ever to get anybody to care or to do anything. Has that been your guys' experience, kind of?
We kind of have like it's a different story now. Like, we haven't been a band for so long, and we made a record and we recorded a record in January of 2012, and then played 2 shows, broke up, and then the record started to get attention on its own. You know, we had some songs and some television shows, and the movie Within picked it up. It was like a Warner Brothers movie. And then Joel and I just kind of never stopped writing, so we were just always kind of writing over the years. And then over the last 6 months, we decided to make an EP. And full circle to your question, kind of, I feel like, the music industry is so saturated with great bands and bad bands. So it's kind of hard to, when I sent that email, I was like, oh, this is probably a long shot, but hey, I'm really glad you glad you took a listen and liked it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I come from I was a drummer. I mean, I still am a drummer. I always talk in the past tense, like I'm dead or something. I was a drummer once, but I was a drummer for most of my life. And so I remember before my band was on a major for a long time, but before those days, I was always the manager and like I would always make the calls. And I remember it used to mean so much to me when somebody would get back to me, even if it was just to tell me to buzz off. I was always just thankful that they responded at all. But you guys are a two-piece band, right? You're a two-piece band?
We are, yeah.
I got to ask y'all, is that because I've always thought two-piece bands are dope because they can create the sound of like 5 dudes with only 2 dudes. So was that intentional? You guys became a two-piece band?
It's just so much easier when it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
It's just easy to write. And luckily Nate kind of plays everything, so I just show up and lay some sloppy guitars down over some awesome tracks that Nate's already made, and do some vocals.
And you guys have a big sound. It's a really big sound for a two-piece band. And I can see how, because I was looking at a lot of your bio stuff, I can see how you guys have had a lot of luck with placements, because your music definitely tends to lean to like I could just see it being really licensable, if that makes sense. And how did you guys get into bed with, a lot of the stuff you guys have gotten to do, like obviously the song on Shameless tonight, and then, the movie Within. How did that all happen? Was that random, or how did you guys start getting placements like that?
It was a former band member knew somebody who worked in the industry and sent it to her, and they liked the music and just started pitching it around. Somebody at Shameless really liked our sound.
I think this is like our 13th placement on Shameless.
That's awesome.
And it's been really cool. They really love the band. And I think Joel and I's writing work really well together. Joel writes most of the lyrics, and I've kind of always explained it as we're opposites a lot in writing, as far as like I'm a creature of a habit. Like I like a lot of structure, and then Joel, it kind of gives him this freedom to float around with his voice while the bass is still there, if that makes sense. I don't know. I think it's like we have a good dynamic as far as the writing duo.
I think a lot of two-piece bands seem to have that. Maybe it's because there's so few people in the room, but I think it always kind of, you can tell a good solid two-piece band is always like right on top of it. And I got to say, man, like as far as like placements go, I feel like for me, I don't know about you guys, but that was my first idea of what quote unquote making it meant. I remember first getting a song on an MTV show or something, and it just seemed like, it meant nothing at the time, but it didn't really pay that well, but it meant everything at the same time. It's like, wow, we're on TV. You know what I mean? That's a really big thing. It's a hard thing to break, especially shows like Shameless and things like that. Those are the harder placements to get. That kind of stuff can really make or break a band.
Yeah, I remember the song called "Are You Alone Now," like musically, and I remember I was writing it and I was thinking, oh man, this should be in a horror movie. Yeah, I had this feeling. I was like, this can be in a horror movie. And then, boom, like a year later, New Line Cinema picked it up, or a couple years later, I guess. And those are always really cool accomplishments whenever you kind of have this vision. It's almost like, I don't know, you're like channeling something,
Yeah, absolutely.
And but yeah, amazing feeling.
Have you guys played a lot of shows? I know it's been a weird year. No one's really played a lot of shows this year, but have you guys played a lot of shows as Dead Sea Empire in the last couple of years?
We haven't played. We've played 2 shows total our entire Dead Sea Empire career.
That's amazing.
We're not really a physical band, I suppose.
I think we're really primarily focused on just being like an album band,
Yeah.
And we would love to play live at some point, but we'd have to hire a bunch of different players and do that thing since there's only 2 of us.
Well, boys, Dead Sea Empire. One thing when bands come on the show that I often do, I play a 5 random question game, but I always ask if the band would like to play. Would you like to play? 5 random questions with Dead Sea Empire on the local buzz. So it is Easter Sunday. So I have to ask you, peeps or no thanks?
Say no peeps.
Question number 2 with Dead Sea Empire on the local buzz. So you guys are a 2-piece band, so I have to ask the controversial question, Black Keys or the White Stripes?
I feel like I have to go White Stripes.
I'm also going to go White Stripes.
But I will say the correct answer to that question was Local H. So you guys missed that one.
Oh, dude. I saw Local H in '98. Called Cat Fest in Oklahoma, and they were totally killer. Such
a legendary band. Question number 3 with Dead Sea Empire on the local buzz. So last night I had this dream that I died, which was not the sad part of the dream. I was still at my own funeral, just hanging out. And the weird thing about it was on my headstone, it said like, "Here lies Andy Herrin," and then underneath it were the lyrics to that Macy Gray song, I Tried, which is weird. I don't really like that song. But I wanted to ask you guys, what is one song you wouldn't mind if the lyrics were on your headstone? And you can't say Macy Gray because it's already taken.
Probably like Tom Petty, Learning to Fly lyrics or something like that.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
I'm a big Petty fan. So.
Yeah, same. Question number 4 with the boys here on the local buzz, Dead Sea Empire. So, have you guys seen these shoes? Lil Nas X is putting out the Satan shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Satan shoes
They
apparently...
have real blood in them or something.
Yeah, each shoe apparently has 1 drop of human blood in them. So I wanted to ask you guys, when it comes to the Satan shoes, no thanks, or hell yeah, maybe that 1 drop of blood will let this white boy finally learn how to jump.
I'm going to say no thanks because blood makes me just,
Question number 5, the final question with Dead Sea Empire on the local buzz. So you guys can have your dream tour. We're talking 60 dates, direct support with any band, alive or dead, that you possibly want. But when you come back from this tour, you have to work driving a pedal tavern down on Broadway for an entire summer. That's your exchange to get this tour. Do you take the tour?
I'd take it.
Well, you guys are in rock and roll for the right reasons. I feel like a lot of times you'll see big artists in Nashville, Tennessee driving pedal taverns, so I love that.
Yeah, totally.
Well, boys, Dead Sea Empire, listen to the song. What's the song that's going to be on Shameless tonight?
It is The Landing. And then they're also playing Interlude off our last record, too, so it's a double.
Well, boys, I appreciate you calling into the show, and once things get back to normal and I'm allowed to have guests again, it's been a whole long, lonely year of me up here by myself, but once the door's back open, you boys are more than welcome to come up, and we got to hang out in person. I would love that.
We would love to, man. We would love to. And thank you for the amazing write-up that you gave us. That was a really pleasant surprise, so we really enjoyed that.
No, man, thank you guys for making good music, and let's get into that song that I talked about a couple nights ago right now, because I just can't stop listening to you guys. Brand new stuff, Dead Sea Empire, Pulp, on Nashville's Rock Station 102.9 The Buzz.